Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for joining us on the 6:30 p.m. Bilingual Newscast over My Media Prime TV. We are broadcasting live from the economic capital of Cameroon, Douala. Good evening, Mireille, Kennedia.
Bonsoir Cynthia Azanu, bonsoir à vous. Merci d'avoir choisi Ma Media Prime Télévision pour vous informer ce soir. On entame cette première partie avec toi, Cynthia Azanu.
Ladies and gentlemen, to begin this newscast, according to data published by the Directorate General of Taxes between February and May 2022, revenue for mobile money tax in Cameroon stood at 7.3 billion francs, with no revenue collected in January. Due to this, 12.77 billion may be generated over the rest of the year if the trend continues. Emmanuela Money reports.
If this trend is maintained, the tax on money transfers will generate 12.77 billion over the rest of the year. Overall, the Tax Directorate will collect 20.07 billion for 2022, up to 7 million from the initial target. The extra revenue could be higher since, according to the manager of a mobile money outlet, the end-of-year holidays and the back-to-school seasons, that's between August, September and October, are busy times for money transfer activity. Many schools and universities in Cameroon now allow students to pay school fees via mobile payment services. Another good point is that people, especially economic operators, resort more and more to mobile payment services to pay taxes and other levies. Official data from the Ministry of Finance show that about 10 billion were paid in mobile money taxes in 2021. Although this measure seems to inflate the government's coffers, the International Monetary Fund fears it may backfire. The tax came into effect on January 1, 2022, and equates to 0.2% of the amount transferred or withdrawn by any traceable means. These include electronic means, mobile phones, telegraphic means, as well as telex or fax. Considered a new revenue stream by the Cameroonian government, this tax has raised concerns in some international financial institutions. In a report published on March 2022, the IMF indicated that taxing mobile money can be fiscally inequitable and hinder the current low level of financial inclusion. The poor and unbanked segments of the population who often live in rural areas and face high transaction costs from the formal banking are negatively affected by the measure. Despite this warning from the IMF, the Cameroonian government said it wants to capitalize on the explosion of electronic payments in the country in recent years. The Bank of Central African States, BEAC, reported in 2020 that Cameroon alone held 19.5 million of the 30.1 million mobile money accounts recorded in the CIMAC zone. This is 64.8% of the total, 3 times more accounts than in Congo, that has 7.1 million, and almost 10 times more than in Gabon, that has 2.7 million during the same year. According to BEAC, by the number of transactions, payment service providers in Cameroon carry.
And on our feature page today, we focused on survival strategies of youth in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Fonquinta caught up with some young individuals who are involved in such activities and files to us the following report.
It is no doubt that youth unemployment is one of the major challenges Cameroon faces today, as thousands of young people find little or no opportunities after school. The effect of this cankerworm is ravaging and will go a long way to delay the country's most talked about emergence come 2035. We are in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital, and youth in this part of the country have engaged in diverse activities including the sales of roadside food to make ends meet. Faki is one of such youths who sells food at wrong point they do. This is how her day looks like. When I wake up every morning, I go to the market. I go home, prepare and come here at 12:30. I can be here till about 3 or 4 p.m. Then I go back home. I face a lot of challenges because things are expensive now, plus some people borrow and never pay. Benediction is also a young Cameroonian who had lots of dreams, but today he sells natural juice to be able to put food on his table. Everything fruits. I also sell yaourt and puff-puff. My capital is not much because Mom and I started this activity with 3,000 francs. When we started this business, that's 1 year and 6 months ago, I could go home with 20 to 25,000 a day, at times 30,000 francs. There are days I can go home with 6,000 francs. Things have become so difficult, and there are days I go home with 2,000, highest 9,000. At first, it wasn't like this. Aside Benediction and Faki, many other Cameroonian youths have resorted to self-employment, but there is need for urgent response to the challenge of youth unemployment as a precondition for poverty reduction and sustainable development.
Le réseau pour la solidarité, l'autonomisation et la transformation a tenu son deuxième atelier de formation des jeunes Camerounais sur la bonne gouvernance et la démocratie ce 23 juin 2022 en présence de l'ambassadeur de la Suisse pour le Cameroun, Marie-Rosine Gandunga pour les détails.
La nécessité de promouvoir la participation active des jeunes à la gouvernance démocratique et aux structures politiques au Cameroun est le cheval de bataille du réseau pour la solidarité, l'autonomisation et la transformation pour tous, en abrégé Newscast.
En fait, nous avons constaté que la démocratie apparemment ne répond plus aux besoins des populations. Donc, il y a certaines personnes qui ne sont plus optimistes sur cette question de la démocratie. Ils ne veulent plus entendre parler de la démocratie. Donc, aujourd'hui, la vraie question est comment réanimer, comment renforcer, comment valoriser la démocratie dans notre contexte, dans notre société.
L'objet de ce second semestre de construire la paix par le biais d'actions inclusives et répondu 2022 est basé sur la démocratie et la bonne gouvernance.
Des problèmes en Afrique aujourd'hui où il y a des élections le matin, des changements de constitution l'après-midi et le coup d'État le soir. En fait, dans une période de 8 mois, nous avons 5 coups d'État en Afrique. Ça, ce n'est pas du tout acceptable.
Pour ce cas, les cibles sont les jeunes Camerounais âgés de 18 à 30 ans d'aptitude et de compétences pratiques pour s'engager activement dans la construction de la communauté stable et démocratique au Cameroun. En effet, RIPER est une série annuelle sur la paix et la démocratie destinée à approfondir les connaissances des jeunes sur la paix et la démocratie tout en favorisant une culture de participation et de leadership actif des jeunes. Ainsi, la série de formation du réseau soutient les jeunes activistes et organisateurs en tant que leaders d'opinion et alliés dans l'élaboration des solutions et de nouvelles approches. Elle en est à sa 7e édition qui accueille 40 jeunes leaders des 10 régions du Cameroun pour 2 semestres qui durent chacun 3 jours.
Hier, on les a formés sur la question de la participation locale parce que dans notre contexte actuellement au Cameroun, il y a la question de la décentralisation. Et en fait, il y a ce besoin de plus en plus d'impliquer des gens au niveau plus bas.
Toutefois, ce second semestre vient après une phase de transition de connaissances dite Pass is On, où chaque participant a mis en œuvre ses compétences. Par ailleurs, il est important de noter que Newscast est une association privée à but non lucratif qui excelle à travers des activités de recherche et d'information non partisanes. Voyons la qualité du travail fourni par ces derniers. La Fondation nationale pour la démocratie, le NED, a mis du sien pour la réussite de ce programme social.
C'est un plaisir de partager l'expérience que la Suisse a faite dans le domaine de démocratie et de participation des jeunes à la vie politique et à la prise de décision.
Satisfait du résultat final, Newscast est plus que jamais déterminé à poursuivre son bout de chemin.
La sous-section RDPC doit continuer à procéder ce samedi 25 juin 2022 au renouvellement de leurs organes de base, occasion donnée de féliciter les militants et militantes engagés, mais également de réitérer leur désir d'être au service des communautés. La rédaction centrale.
Chers et distingués camarades, vous voici donc à Douala, continue. Soyez les bienvenus à la sous-section Douala continue.
C'est en ces mots de bienvenue qu'a été lancée la cérémonie de renouvellement des organes de base de la sous-section RDPC Douala continue à Bonabéry, arrondissement de Douala 4e, ce samedi 25 juin 2022. La dite sous-section qui compte en son sein plus de 300 militants a connu la mobilisation de ses militants et militantes.
La sous-section qui vous accueille comme à ce jour 5 comités de base et 10 cellules, donc approximativement 300 militants et militantes pour l'ensemble de ces sous-sections. Il me semble utile de vous rassurer que ces chiffres sont essentiellement dynamiques parce que nous faisons ajouter chaque journée des conquêtes de nouveaux militants.
Élu président de la dite sous-section, Maître Achou Julius a tenu à apprécier la sérénité qui se vit au sein du parti.
Les populations de Douala continuent, vivent et travaillent dans la paix et dans une harmonie parfaite. C'est un état d'esprit qu'il faut apprécier et encourager parce que le renouvellement des organes de base laisse généralement des rancunes et parfois quelques fichus au sein de notre parti.
Une aventure nouvelle pour tous les élus, mais encore plus pour le président, dont les objectifs sont les plus ambitieux.
J'ai l'obligation de mettre le RDPC en haut. On doit gagner ces élections, n'est-ce pas, par la présentation de notre programme et la façon de faire. Nous ne devons pas utiliser la force, nous devons utiliser, n'est-ce pas, les prévisions, n'est-ce pas, que le parti, les directives de notre secrétaire général, pour que les Camerounais puissent comprendre, n'est-ce pas, le fondement de la démocratie et comment ça se joue. Et il n'y a que dans le RDPC, n'est-ce pas, qu'on peut bien le sentir.
Occasion donnée pour réaffirmer son engagement à être au service des populations et du parti.
Content de la confiance que les militants m'ont donnée pour m'élire d'abord, pour m'élire comme président de la sous-section. Et pour être, quand tu es président de la sous-section, tu es la première personne à servir le peuple. Et nous sommes là, n'est-ce pas, pour suivre, n'est-ce pas, les règles des jeux, n'est-ce pas, préparées par le président de la République, n'est-ce pas, à travers notre parti. Nous comptons, n'est-ce pas, le respecter et faire sentir ça jusqu'au bas peuple.
Dans la démocratie et la bonne gouvernance s'ouvre une nouvelle page pour la sous-section RDPC Douala continue.
Cameroon joins the globe to commemorate the International Day Against Drug Trafficking and Illicit Trafficking or Drug Abuse. This day is celebrated on the 26th of June each year, and it is aimed at strengthening action and achieving the goal of a world free of drug abuse, as my Media Prime News Desk tells us in the following report. The International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, or World Drug Day, is marked on the 26th of June every year to strengthen action and cooperation in achieving the goal of a world free of drug abuse. Each year, individuals, communities, and various organizations all over the world join on the global observance to raise awareness of the major problems that illicit drug represent the society.
Awareness of the risks and access to evidence-based treatment and care can help prevent such tragedies. The COVID pandemic has shown us the vital role of trustworthy scientific information and the power of community in influencing health choices. We must urgently leverage this potential to address the world drug problem.
Each year, the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime Issues and World Drug Reports, full of key statistics and factual data obtained through official sources, a science-based approach and research. In Cameroon, youths have been urged to shun drugs during the summer vacation period.
There are some parents who are not maybe good at sending their children to attend holiday classes. Some send maybe towards the end of the holidays. But I occupy my own children at home with other activities. I don't leave them moving around up and down. We have to do this for the parents to always talk to their children. Talk to them, teach them, tell them the wrongs of drug abuse, the wrongs of this and that to help.
It is worth noting that the World Drug Day is a day to share research findings, evidence-based data, and life-saving facts, and to continue tapping into a shared spirit of solidarity. And now women are taking the lead in the business world and forging ahead in entrepreneurship as a means to foster and improve on the economy. To this regard, women of substance have taken a bold step to establish a women's beauty environment in a bid to change the narrative. Our reporter, Colette Loom, attended one of such events and tells us in the following report.
Never ever fail me. I am a father that will never ever fail me. I am a father that will never ever fail me.
Economic empowerment of women should be a priority in the growth and success of every country. Since women are standing strong taking the bull by the horn. To be financially independent, where inhibiting women is the crowding out effect, where women are given the lead way to expanding their businesses because capital grant leads to an increase of external financial support to their spouses. It is in these regards that women's beauty stop have been crowned open in the city of Douala.
The messages to him. Like, he has done well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am a successful woman.
Successful man.
There's a successful man. It's not a man. So,
Successful man.
During the opening ceremony, these women of substance in their external beautification, the founder substantiates on why she aims at empowering ladies on this path.
What I have to tell the ladies out there is we should not be afraid. You should pursue your dreams no matter how old, no matter how long it may take you. I think if it's something that you really have a passion for it, you should go for it. We must not begin with something very big. No matter how little, there is this popular saying that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. I want to think that today I have taken the step, and by the grace of God, we're going to flourish. We're going to move to greater heights.
Women changing the narratives for an improved economy at a time when Cameroon's economy is witnessing an inflation in prices. The opening of this beauty stop was graced with the presence of phenomenal women of substance, alongside some men rendering a hand of support to empower ladies. Since what is a woman without a man?
À la suite de l'information interdisant les relations sexuelles hors mariage durant la Coupe du Monde 2022 qui aura lieu au Qatar, certains Camerounais ont exprimé leur point de vue vis-à-vis de cette décision. Écoutons ce qu'ils ont à dire au micro de notre reporter Audrey Zatsa.
La nouvelle fait couler beaucoup d'encre. Le Qatar n'autorisera pas les relations sexuelles entre personnes non mariées pendant la Coupe du Monde 2022, que ce soit les joueurs ou les supporters. Des sanctions jusqu'à 7 ans de prison peuvent être encourues. Selon un communiqué du Comité suprême du Qatar, le Qatar est un pays conservateur et les démonstrations publiques d'affection sont mal vues, quelle que soit l'orientation sexuelle. Une décision qu'approuvent certains Camerounais.
Je veux dire, ce qu'ils ont dit là, il faut comprendre ça au sérieux parce qu'on s'est rendu compte que ceux qui y vont, souvent se pavanent, ne s'occupent pas de ce qu'ils sont venus faire. Par exemple, les joueurs, vous imaginez, les joueurs avant de partir sont dans le stage bloqué. Il ne faut pas qu'ils arrivent là-bas et se mettent à s'éparpiller parce qu'ils doivent chercher les femmes.
Moi, j'approuve l'idée. Parce que je ne trouve pas ça. Je ne trouve pas ça extra. Aller là-bas et rencontrer du sexe. On va être marié. Sans savoir avec qui on y va. C'est mieux d'aller là-bas avec sa femme.
Pour d'autres, c'est une décision à reconsidérer.
Football,
pour ceux qui jouent, c'est-à-dire les joueurs, c'est bon, c'est compréhensible. Mais pour les supporters, pourquoi les empêcher d'avoir des relations sexuelles? Ça ne va pas. Avoir les relations sexuelles, c'est aussi un exercice sportif. Toutefois, l'émir du Qatar, Cheikh Tamer Hamas Al Thani, interrogé en fin mai sur l'accueil des personnes LGBT pendant le mondial, avait répondu que tout visiteur avec des origines différentes, des croyances différentes, sera la bienvenue au Qatar, en exhortant le public à manifester le point de vue concernant la cause LGBT dans une société où cela sera accepté. L'ambiance sera donc loin d'être libre et les joueurs ou supporters de football qui ont l'intention d'assister à la grande messe de football sont dehors et déjà prévenus.
La torture est une violation des droits de l'homme, raison pour laquelle une journée lui est dédiée afin de lutter contre toutes les formes qu'elle peut avoir. Pour le compte de ce 26 juin 2022, le pape François en appelle aux chrétiens du monde entier de s'unir afin d'éradiquer ce fléau. Gladys Boumotongina.
Alors que nous sommes en plein au XXIe siècle, les droits de l'homme semblent ne pas encore être connus ni respectés dans la plupart des pays du monde. En ce qui concerne dans les tortures que font vivre les uns et les autres, on ne peut pas moins le dire. En effet, ce 26 juin 2022, le monde célèbre la Journée internationale de lutte contre les tortures. Mais dans le contexte du Cameroun, peut-on dire que ce jour doit être célébré alors que jour après jour, des civils et personnes sont kidnappées, gardées comme otages pour attendre de rançon et d'autres carrément torturés à mort. Et tout ceci, c'est dans le cadre du conflit socio-politique qui sévit le pays depuis plus de 5 ans. Comme action et victimes de torture, on peut citer entre autres des élèves mis à nu dans leur propre salle de classe, pourtant venus juste exercer leurs droits humains, d'autres roulés dans la boue, d'autres tués de manière progressive et tout juste pour avoir tenté d'exercer, exprimer ou de vivre leurs droits humains. D'autre part, nous avons des individus torturés juste pour cause d'être un frère, une sœur ou un ami d'un séparatiste, ou encore pour avoir eu des relations avec un gendarme. Des actions humanitaires qui leur a donc valu des tortures physiques et émotionnelles au vu et su de tous, sans que rien ne soit fait pour arrêter ces abus. Une journée internationale comme celle-ci est donc une raison pour tous ces partis pris forts, à savoir séparatistes et armées camerounaises, à se remettre en question et de faire prévaloir les droits des populations camerounaises devenues victimes de ce conflit sociopolitique dans le nord-ouest et le sud-ouest. Mis en vigueur depuis le 28 juin 1987, la journée mondiale de lutte contre les tortures a été initiée pour soutenir les victimes de torture, mais aussi pour mettre fin à toute forme de traitement cruel, inhumain ou dégradation. On rappelle, 162 pays au monde font partie de la dite charte, y compris le Vatican, raison pour laquelle le pape François XVI a martelé dessus en condamnant fortement toute forme de torture. Il a d'ailleurs invité tous les fidèles chrétiens à travailler ensemble pour abolir ces pratiques.
And now the Sirac Foundation has donated medical equipment and agricultural inputs to medical centers and agricultural owners in the east region of the country. These equipments were handed over by the representative of Mireille Abena in the presence of the governor and other elites in this region. Nicole Tako tells us in the following report.
The Sirac Foundation of Mrs. Chantabia, First Lady of the Republic of Cameroon, has donated medical equipment to some health facilities and agricultural inputs in the Mboa subdivision of the Upper Nyong division in the east region of the country to some women and youth group to help them function well in their various domains. These equipments were handed to the beneficiaries by the personal representative of the First Lady, Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena, in the midst of the governor and elites of that region. The population of Angosta expressed their gratitude in their hearts due to the fact that a health center was recently created and the equipment came at the right time, which will help them in the services they offer. The Sirac delegation, led by the Minister of Women Empowerment and Family, brought in hospital beds, drugs and other medical equipment. Also, farm inputs like fertilizers, hoes, wheelbarrow, grounding mires were among the equipment. Sewing machines, hair dryers, fridges, electric generators and chairs were not left out. All these were handed to the beneficiaries. These equipments were given to 4 health facilities, 7 young empowerment centers, and 6 women rural groups by the First Lady through her representative, which was the bearer of the message from the Sirac Foundation. Sirac has been touched by the difficulties women and youth face, especially in the rural areas of the country, and that is why the First Lady's wish is to touch the lives and hearts of the needy. The governor of the East region, Mr. Gregor Mvongo, took part in the event to express the gratitude of the beneficiaries together with other elites and government officials who are origins of the region. The population later on showed their appreciation to Mrs. Chantabia through the demonstration of artistic performances and speeches.
Some individuals in the economic capital of Cameroon, Douala, have expressed their opinions on the causes of school violence. Our reporter Mwanze Njogyogo gives us the details few days to the end of the academic year.
Violence in the academic milieu in Cameroon is gradually becoming a normal occurrence in secondary school in recent years. Few months back, a principal of a secondary school in the Kolbisong neighborhood in Yaoundé was stabbed near death by one of his students due to a pullover. The city dweller gives us his reasons for the existence of violence in the school milieu.
Attitude, the behavioral attitude of, the behavioral ways of the students nowadays are too poor.
Can you attribute it to their parents?
The teachers are doing their best to see how they can keep these students in school, make them learn and work with. Those students come with different ideas and different thoughts in the school. That is why we have all this violence.
He also adds that
the teacher will not allow a student to talk to him anyhow because it's a teacher. At times he also is forced to react. And when that action comes to, it becomes an instance of blood between the teacher and the student.
These other inhabitants attribute it to negligence on both the school and parents. Back in the days, in schools, our bags were controlled, our dressing, everything. We could not enter and leave school premises as we please. But nowadays, you realize that the control has reduced. We can point fingers at parents before pointing them at teachers. This young dad, on his part, expressed fear for his son still growing. It's dangerous. One is scared, especially parents like myself. As I have a son, I'm scared. I'm really scared of the degree of anger amongst students. In our academic milieu, arguments no longer end verbally or diplomatically. Hopefully, certain actions will be put in place by the government to reduce violence in schools before the reopening of the academic year 2022-2023.
Solar energy is the main source of electricity supply in Sabongari, but according to denizens, this power can't suffice the needs of all. In this light, a youth from this locality is utilizing the power in running his phone charging business. Bilingual reports.
The problems of potable drinking water and electricity supply remain the biggest in most communities here in Cameroon, especially in the rural settings. However, in Sabongari, a local community in the Donga Mantun division of the northwest region of Cameroon, the problem of electricity supply has been responded with the installation of giant solar panels. Although these can't equitably suffice the demands of every household, Jamer Emmanuel is a youth from this area who, through his phone charging business, ensures no one goes home with a flat battery.
Yeah, I do cell phones and do a lot of charging since we don't have the power supply from the sun. We do manage this our own solar system planted here in Sabongari to make sure the population use their phones.
Despite the benefits that come alongside his line of business, Emmanuel says there are risks to incur.
So it's a nice business. There are a lot of risks in the business. Like for example, somebody gives a phone, another person comes and claim, like a thief, just come and claim the phone and said they gave this kind of phone here, and then you not being steady, you might out of fear or out of business just take the phone and give.
Then what strategy does he use to overcome this challenge?
Like you see here, we have tags tied on these batteries and even on the phones. This now serves like an identity card for anything you give here.
It is from a place of limited power supply that Emmanuel is able to make a living, meaning the complete electrification of Sabongari would cripple his business. But that notwithstanding, Emmanuel would still consider his people first over his earnings.
Energy supply, I mean light, is very, very important. It's very, very necessary, especially to our parents at home, us, the students, and the children who go to school. It would really be nice if the whole Africa is being supplied with energy.
And at a time when students are bracing up for their respective general end-of-course public examinations, the people of Sabongari are nonetheless soliciting government's aid through this medium.
And now on our health page, we talk aphasia, which is a health condition caused by injuries to multiple parts of the brain that are responsible for the processing of language and speech. June is a month set aside to raise awareness about this disease. Bokengogwadi reports.
Aphasia is a language disorder that affects a person's ability to communicate properly, triggered by conditions such as stroke, head injury, progressive neurological conditions like dementia, as well as the development of a brain tumor or disease. Aphasia possesses symptoms such as trouble writing, speaking, understanding speech, forgetfulness, persistent repetition of words, social isolation, slow speech, loss of fluency, and many more. Affecting an estimated 10 million persons worldwide, the neurological health condition is more prevalent in persons over the ages of 65 as well as being female, bearing 4 types which include Broca's aphasia, Wernicke's aphasia, aromic aphasia, and primary progressive aphasia, which is the most common type of aphasia. The health condition, if not diagnosed early, can worsen over time. As experts say, there is no effective way to prevent the disease. To this regard, the month of June is set aside to raise awareness regarding the language-impaired disease, as well as encourage sufferers and caregivers to partake in rehabilitation therapy, speech therapy, language activities, together with prescribed medication, so as to be able to reduce its prevalence worldwide, as well as ease daily life's glee.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we draw the curtains of today's edition of the Bilingual Newscast over My Media Prime TV, receiving technical assistance from Ewale Eli and coordinated by Faith Tata. I have been Cynthia Azanu. Good evening, Mireille, Kennedia.
Bonsoir, Cynthia Azanu. Merci à vous d'avoir suivi le 18h30 de Bilingual sur My Media Prime Télévision. Restez des nôtres.